Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I'm a homeschool mom to 3. Today's video is going to be a curriculum planning and brainstorming video. I actually filmed one of these videos last year and it was like in my car. It was just a random video talking about some of the homeschool curriculum options I was considering for the following homeschool year. And you all seem to really like that one. You liked hearing kind of the process in my brain and how that happens when I'm trying to select curriculum and plan for the following school year. So I thought that I would film another one because curriculum is starting to kind of be on my mind a lot. I am definitely in the planning process of trying to research different resources and kind of just map out how our year is going to look next year. So I usually try to settle on all of my curriculum choices in the spring. I like to just start getting things and ordering things and having things all set and ready for our following school year. I also really like to put up curriculum choice videos for you guys so that you can get kind of an idea of some different resources you might want to use. And so, yeah, that's the kind of time frame I try to work with. I have 3 kids, so I have 3 different little minds that I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do with next year. So I guess I'll start with my youngest. So Isla, this is her kindergarten year. So she's working on her letters and sounds. So we're continuing, finishing off the year by just kind of going over those and really cementing those with a lot of different things. Going forward, I think that I have decided for her language arts next year when we start learning to read, I'm thinking we're probably going to be using All About Reading. That's like number 1 in my mind right now, the level 1. And so that's probably the direction I'm going in, but I'm also considering like a Becca or The Good and the Beautiful as well, because she is visual and she's a workbook kid. She likes doing workbook pages. She thinks that they're fun. So I do see a benefit in using kind of a colorful workbook-based curriculum like those. So maybe, but I still think All About Reading would work really well for her. And it's working so well with my son that I just kind of have like a full belief in the program now. So that's kind of number 1 right now. For math, I'm kind of thinking, so we love Apologia math. That is something that we really have enjoyed the last couple years. But for her, I kind of want to try Math with Confidence. And honestly, it's only because I've always been intrigued by Math with Confidence and never was able to try it. So when Math with Confidence first kind of came out, my oldest daughter was too old for the levels that were released. So I couldn't use it with her, even though I kind of wanted to. And I thought the program looked really, really good. And then we started using Apologia with my son, and it's working so well for him, and he loves it that I'm just going to stick with it. I'm not going to try to change it up or anything on him. So now that we're kind of going into our first beginning experience with math with my youngest, I'm thinking it's a perfect opportunity to try out that curriculum. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and so I'm interested in that one. Apologia is always an option as well because I do really, really like that program, and I think either of those would work really well for her. I think they're kind of similar actually in a lot of ways from what I've seen. So those are kind of the 2 options I'm thinking about. I also have a lot of the supplies for Math UC, but I'm not sure if I want to use that curriculum fully just because it's so mastery based. And I haven't really gauged how she is with math yet, if she needs that much of a mastery-based curriculum. Personally, I kind of like a blend. I like a little bit of a more mastery approach with also review. And I also like a broad range of subjects and topics covered in the math curriculum. I don't like just focusing on one thing for too long, but I think there's kind of a sweet spot, at least for me. My kids are a little bit different. Like my son is math comes really easy for him. So spiral curriculums or mastery curriculum, I feel like either one works for him because he just picks it up regardless. But he can definitely take on more than my oldest daughter, who's always struggled with math. She needs more consistent mastery-ish lessons with a little bit of review in there too. So that was a really long-winded explanation. I'm sorry. I get chatty in these videos. Those are kind of the ones that are on my list right now. Moving into Emmett, he's going to be in 3rd grade, which for some reason I'm struggling with. Like, I think it's crazy that he's going to be in 3rd grade. He is almost in the grade that my oldest was when we pulled her from public school to start our homeschooling journey, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, so he is sticking with Apologia. That's like a spoiler alert. That's going to be his math for next year. We love it, and it's working so well for him. I'm not going to change it. All About Reading is working so well for him right now. I do not foresee us changing from that in the future. I would really like to continue moving through level 2, continuing to finish up level 2 next year if we need to, and then moving into level 3 as long as everything works out. If not, I don't know what I'm going to use. That's just kind of my goal going forward. Those are the 2 that I'm pretty confident on. But for him, because he's in 3rd grade, up until now, we've only focused on kind of the 3 main things. So we've done like reading, writing, and math. Up until now, that's been like our high focus. And then he's gotten some nature science through different nature studies we've done. He's gotten some geography from the geography-based art curriculum that we used all last year. And just like simple things like that, and like joining in on group studies and everything and unit studies. So he's had that, but not like a formal study or curriculum in those subjects like science and history and that kind of thing. But because he's going into 3rd grade, I feel like it's a really good time to include those. So he's going to actually be taking on a little bit more of a workload next year. We'll see how that goes. He's definitely my kid who doesn't love to sit still, short attention span. So I'm hoping that I can get a good routine down to be able to cover more things for him without overwhelming him. So I'm thinking about doing lightning literature with him because we loved lightning literature. I've not used any of the levels lower than 4. So I don't really know how those go, but they look really good. And so I'm thinking like either 2 or 3. Possibly to cover like literature and start some grammar and like all of that kind of stuff. Another one that I'm looking at is core knowledge for science, language arts, and history. The more that I look into core knowledge, the more that I like kind of what I see with it. It's a free curriculum to download, which is like a plus as well. I like the unit study kind of approach. Like you study a certain topic for a certain length of time, and then you can switch it and you're not stuck like on the same thing all year or anything. I really do like that approach. I think he would like that approach too, and keeping him engaged and not bored. The science looks really good. So I would probably dabble in different grades of core knowledge because I think that's really easy and fluid to do that, and then kind of like just pick the units that I think would be good. So I'd probably dabble in grades 2 and 3. I'm just going to kind of gauge it how I see with those if I decide to go that way. Another thing that I'm considering is we have both of the Tuttle twins history books. Somebody gave them to us, and so I've never actually even read them. I was going to use them a little bit this year, but we really haven't. And so I thought for a really simple, straightforward kind of exposure to history and American history, we could maybe read that as like a read aloud, and then maybe do some notebooking, or like I can find some projects or something. And there might even be projects in there. I don't even know. I have honestly not even really looked at them. But it seems from what I have seen, they seem very like story based and engaging. So I think that that would be a really relaxed intro to history without like putting too much pressure on learning too many like facts and stuff and like really mastering anything. The other one that I'm looking at is the new ancient history study from Where'd You Learn That? That looks really good too. It's a literature based curriculum. It looks really simple and straightforward, and we've used her resources before and loved them. So that looks good. I just don't know if I want to do ancient history or not yet. I haven't decided. I think that that's always like hard for me to pick. Like, are we going to do world history, or are we going to do American history? Like, which way to go? So I'm not sure yet. possibly. And then if we do decide to go world history, another one that I'm looking at using is Story of the World. We have volume 1 and the activity book from our very first year homeschooling. That's what we used, and we really enjoyed it back then. But I'm wondering, I don't know, I feel like the first couple chapters were really gentle and I think he would be fine with, but like, I feel like the more you go through that curriculum, the more like names there are and like regions to try to memorize, like really long words. And I don't know how over his head that would be. I'm not sure. I don't know. So those are kind of like the history options I'm considering. For science, like I said, core knowledge is a consideration. And then I'm also planning on doing apologia science for my older daughter and considering just doing it as a group subject and bringing him in on it. I'm not sure. So that's kind of what I'm considering for him. Okay, so for Lacey, she has a lot because she is going to be in 8th grade. This is her last middle school year before high school. And so I want to make it fun. I want her to be able to have some freedom in what she studies this year because high school, she has to study certain things. So it's nice to be able to kind of have that last year to kind of pick some interest that she might have. So I'm hoping to keep it fun, but I also want to kind of make sure I'm preparing her for high school. We are considering going back to lightning literature, and we probably use the storm level, which is a new level they released this year. That is for grades like 7 and 8-ish. 6 to 8, I think, is what it's recommended. But they have a level 6, so I would say probably 7th or 8th grade. The book list looks good. We have loved lightning literature. She loves it too. And like I've talked to her a little bit about what we might do next year, and she really wants to do lightning lit again. So we may be going in that direction for like our literature and grammar studies. I've also looked into Mosdos Press a little bit, which is a literature curriculum, like a reading curriculum. And then for writing, I'm looking at Write Shop 1, which is not the junior that we're using this year. It's their next level, their intermediate level, their middle school to high school level. I have seen a bit about that one, and it's very different from the junior levels. And there's not as many moving parts. There's not as many like activities per se. I like the way Write Shop breaks things down. And the woman who wrote Write Shop wrote it because she had reluctant writers, and Lacey's very much a reluctant writer. So I have to be like really intentional about the writing resources I choose and how they're laid out, because she's very like little things can throw her off and derail that. So Write Shop. The other one that I'm looking at is Jump In, the middle school writing curriculum. I've heard really good things about that curriculum being really good for reluctant writers too. I've looked at samples, I've looked at flip throughs, and it looks really good too. I like the conversational tone that curriculum has, and it's also super affordable. So I'm looking at that. And then the other one that I'm looking at is EIW. So I'm kind of at this point where I'm wondering, like, would she benefit from a video-based writing curriculum that could really break down the process, somebody else breaking down the process for her? I've heard good things about EIW being really good for like incrementally preparing kids with writing. So that is also on my list to look at. For math, the only consideration that I have right now, and the only option I'm really looking at, is Denison. We're moving into the algebra world, and so I'm kind of at the point where video lessons I want, because I am not like the strongest with that kind of math. And so I think having somebody else kind of explain it and teach it, and I'll like be there too, will help. So I really have heard really good things about Denison. I like the philosophy of the way that the curriculum was created was for kids who think they're bad at math or struggle with math. And so I like that it's specifically for those kinds of kids, because she is that kind of kid. So Denison is my number one and really only option I'm considering right now. If you have any other suggestions though, let me know. Moving on, we got science. I already mentioned we're probably going with apologia science. We love apologia. Okay, for history is where I'm kind of like lost. I'm not really sure which direction to go. I'm looking at like Knotgrass. They're like middle school history, like America the Beautiful or From Adam to Us. I'm also looking at core knowledge history units because I think that those look very intriguing as well. We're gonna do art this year just for her. Like I'll probably do art with the littler kids too, but I want her to have a curriculum that's designed for more skill level building because she's 13, almost 14, and she can handle that. And I think she could really benefit from actual, higher level instruction than just like the fun art we always do. So I'm looking at artistic pursuits, like the middle school levels for that, possibly. I went through art classes, middle school through high school. I was independent study art my senior year in high school, and I know a lot about art. So I think like if I had a curriculum that really helped me break it down, I think that I could really teach it to her for the most part. But it's finding that little gem that I'm having trouble doing. So artistic pursuits is on my list to really kind of look into more. And for Spanish. So Spanish has been also a hard one because there's a ton of curriculums out there for Spanish for little kids, but not as many curriculum choices for middle school and higher level Spanish. So I'm looking at Master Books Academy Spanish because I've heard good things about that. And it's a video-based course, which I think we need. Me trying to like teach her Spanish, I feel like teach her wrong because I'm not gonna pronounce things correctly. And I'd rather somebody who knows the language be able to teach her that. Or I've been looking at BJU Spanish one. I've heard that's really good, and you have the option of video course with that as well. And then the last one that I'm considering is called MAS Spanish, M-A-S Spanish. And this one intrigues me because there's not a lot of chatter about it. It's an online Spanish course that's basically, she says, is like having a private Spanish instructor, but like not like on a video course that you can kind of do yourself. And so it looks really good. She has sample lessons that you can watch the videos and see kind of how the program works. But that one looks really good too and really promising. So those are kind of the 3 Spanish resources I am considering right now. And then I don't know if she's gonna wanna do like any other electives besides art and Spanish. She may have some kind of interest. I honestly, for her at this age, I'm considering just looking into our community for different classes she can take. Our community website has lots of classes in the area, art classes and STEM classes and all sorts of stuff. So even doing some classes like that could maybe be fun for her. She also possibly will be getting her first job in the fall of next year. I'm really excited and crossing my fingers that that works out. I think that'll be a really good experience for her. So she'll have that, and that's kind of like a really big extracurricular and responsibility tool for sure. So I'm excited about that. So that's kind of where I'm at with planning right now. Those are all kind of the options that I'm considering and mulling over and researching. If you have any other suggestions for any subject, any of these grades, we'll have first, third, and eighth. Any of that, please don't hesitate to leave them down below because I appreciate looking into new suggestions for sure. And let me know if you guys are in the process of planning. What are some things that you're looking into? What kind of direction are you going in next year? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.